Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode back here on Crumble Takes, and today we're going to talk about why this Jaguars team, and in my opinion, has such a bright future ahead of them in the National Football League. Why this duo of Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence and having these wide receivers such as Zay Jones and Marvin Jones Jr. right now, and even they traded for Calvin Ridley down the line. We'll get into that, why I think this Jacksonville Jaguars team has such a bright future. Please leave a like and subscribe and comment and tell me how you feel about these videos. But let's get into the story of this Jacksonville Jaguars team. So this Jags team in 2020, it was really bad. They won one game, week 1, 27-20 versus the Indianapolis Colts. That was it. Every other game they had was a loss. They weren't good. They had Gardner Minshew as their quarterback, and then they went to Jake Luton for a little bit, I think, when Minshew got hurt. Or he got benched, I don't quite remember. But the only highlight of this team in 2020 was, I think, the fact that their undrafted free agent, James Robinson, was probably the only bright spot of this team. He was out there killing it. And that's pretty much the only thing about this Jags team. It was pretty bad. I'm going to show y'all a little bit versus Pittsburgh Steelers game of how bad this Jacksonville team was. It was not good whatsoever. They lost 15 games in a row and they barely won that game versus the Colts. Like, just look at this. Like, I know it's not like much, but look at this. No tackling. No tackling on James Conner, as you can see. They weren't good. Another clip. Like, they weren't good at all. Like, no tackling. Jacksonville, Minshew. So then this happened for them in the draft.
In-person pick of this in-person draft.
With the first pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Trevor Lawrence, quarterback, Clemson.
And so the inevitable has finally become reality. Family, friends, dog, they're all happy for Trevor Lawrence, the new Jacksonville Jaguar.
And it's a new era of Do the Jaguars officially have a new head coach?
Urban Meyer now the official new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, just coming down in the last couple seconds. This courtship, which has lasted several weeks, included the firing of Doug Marrone, is now...
So, this Jacksonville team, the next year, they got Urban Meyer and they got Trevor Lawrence, a generational talent they were calling this man. What did they do? Well, Urban Meyer was fired after going 2-11. Not very good at all. And there was a whole bunch of stuff about him coming out. It just wasn't good at all. So, all I'm going to say is he was doing stuff he had no business doing. Trevor, overall year, though, it was pretty bad. I will not lie. He only had 3,641 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 17 interceptions in 17 games. That is pretty bad for a rookie quarterback. But things the next year, though, started to heat up after this horrible year. Trevor, of course, he had no help this year. Just keep that in mind. After that horrible year with Urban Meyer, Doug Peterson, a Super Bowl winning coach out of Philadelphia that win with Nick Foles, of course, versus the Patriots, they hired Doug Peterson, good old Dougie P. Now, this was a pretty good signing in my opinion for them, you know, as a Super Bowl winning coach. I think he can help Trevor develop. Now let's go into, the Jags did have the #1 overall pick again. Let's see who they drafted out of this draft, shall we? Now let's see.
In the 2022 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Trevon Walker, linebacker, Georgia.
All right, so let's check out the fam cam presented by Lowe's. There he is, a Georgia Bulldog. What a season it was for the Georgia Bulldogs, winning a national championship, and now they have the first overall pick in the 2022 draft.
Now I will admit this is Trevon's rookie year. He has been kind of mid this year. 22 solo tackles, 3.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 1 interception. I think that Sauce Gardner, Aiden Hutchinson probably should have went over him. Sauce has looked like, of course, like a lockdown corner. Hutchinson has looked like he has a lot of bright spots in Detroit. So we'll see what he does next year. I also want to mention this free agent class. They signed Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, and Zay Jones. They've all been balling out this year for them too. Just want to mention that. And they also find Brandon Sheriff from Washington, that O-lineman. So just keep in mind, they signed all these guys. They got Trevon, they got Aiden Hutchinson. I also want to mention someone I haven't mentioned earlier. Travis Etienne was drafted the year that Trevor got drafted, but he got a foot injury the first year. So this is also Travis Etienne's first year in the league as well. I don't think I'm saying his last name right. I'm sorry, I apologize. But still, just keep that in mind going into this year. So the Jags did start off decent. They took that L to Washington in a very close game. They beat the Colts and they beat the Chargers, which was a very surprising win in my opinion. So they actually look kind of decent. Trevor was looking okay. I was like, okay, Trevor may have turned it around. Then they went on this bad losing streak with their only win to the Raiders. It was not looking good again. I was like, Trevor, this isn't good at all. That loss in London, due especially to the Broncos, I thought, oh no, I guess Trevor is just, it's all bad again for Jacksonville. And then, of course, that win where they beat my Ravens in overtime, and not in overtime, but the end of regulation, I was pretty upset. And then they had that bad loss to Detroit. I was like, we lost to them. And they had that win against Tennessee and that win against Dallas, which I'm going to show wins against that Dallas clip. So they have a mini little win. And now they control themselves to the playoffs after Tennessee is falling off a cliff. I've always thought Tennessee wasn't that good. I'm recording this as the Jets game just ended, so they did win that game versus the Jets. I think they'll easily win their next two games versus Tennessee and Houston. I really think that the Jaguars will win the division. I'm fully confident when saying that. Now we're going to play some of these Trevor Lawrence clips. I'm going to let y'all watch them. If some of y'all didn't see what he did against Dallas, he looked amazing out there. Zay Jones had 3 touchdowns, so let's roll in the clips. Like, look, he's just throwing dimes to Zay Jones. It's looking nice. Like, this whole game, I was like, wow. Because I thought the Jaguars had a chance to upset this game, but I was like, look at these passes. Like, let's throw another one to Zay Jones. Look, Trevor looks good now. Look, Zay Jones wide open, another touchdown. And then let's look at Zay Jones' last touchdown. Look at 3rd and goal, Zay Jones touchdown. Like, him and Zay Jones got a real connection out there. Also, I want to mention this. During the trade deadline, a very interesting trade happened. Calvin Ridley got traded to the Jags, which I thought was very interesting because Calvin Ridley is one person I did not expect to getting traded, but he did end up getting traded. So he's be there next year for Lawrence after, of course, he got suspended for the gambling. Yeah, very interesting in my opinion that Ridley's also there. So, what do you guys think about Trevor Lawrence, the Jags? I'm really interested in what y'all guys think, because I think that they'll make it there. I think they have a promising future and they'll win the AFC South this year. But what do y'all think? Thanks for watching, guys. Goodbye.